that's his signal. Looking this morning, we want to take time to look at a couple more of our hymns from our hymn stories. Both of these relate to drawing closer to God. Good morning. We having a little bit of a bridge service this morning. Usually it's what we deliver on a Sunday night, but we're thankful to have y'all with us. So we're just now getting started on our thoughts this morning. We're looking at a couple of hymn stories, and they both relate to drawing closer to God. The first one that we just had sang a few minutes ago was being nearer, my God, to thee. And it also goes along with the Sunday school lesson that was taught this morning. In Genesis, the 28th chapter, and verse 12, Brother Larry read these for Sunday school, but I'm going to go ahead and reread them this morning, setting the thoughts here for that song. And in Genesis 28 and 12, it says, speaking of Jacob here, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And then dropping down to verse 20, it said, and Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that thou shalt surely give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. So this morning, then we want to look and read the hymn, Nearer My God to Thee. The verses here we were singing, and there is one additional verse to the song that we did not sing this morning. Both the hymns this morning to me kind of pair similar in wording and in tune. A little hard to sing, as we found out a little bit ago. But this song does make me always think when the first verse where it says, nearer my God to thee, nearer to thee, eve though a cross it be, that raiseth me. Out at the Holy City when they do the Easter pageant, that is always one of the ones they sing near the time of the cross and the resurrection of Jesus. And so anytime I hear that song, my mind automatically goes to that. But it says, I'm reading the hymn right now. Nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee, eve though it be a cross that raiseth me. Still all my song shall be, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee. Though like the wanderer, the sun gone down, darkness be over me, my rest a stone, yet in my dreams I'll be, nearer, my God, to thee. There let the way appear, steps unto heaven, all that thou sendest me, in mercy given. Angels do beckon me, nearer, my God, to thee. There let the way appear, steps, okay, I read that one. Then with my walking thoughts, bright with thy praise, out of my stony Greece, Bethel I'll raise. So by my woes to be, nearer, my God, to thee. Then verse 5. Or if on joyful wing, cleaving the sky, sun, moon, and stars forget, upward I'll fly. Still up my song shall be, nearer, my God, to thee. And when the trumpet sounds, may I still wear the righteousness of Christ, my garments fair, caught up with him to be, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee. It says, then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven. That is recorded in Genesis 28 and 12. It says, it was reported that the band aboard the Titanic gallantly played, nearer, my God, to thee, as the great liner sank into its watery grave on April the 14th, 1912. A Canadian survivor told of being comforted by its strains. Historians, however, have never been able to nail down the validity of this story. But never mind, it is a great hymn anyway. Written by a woman named Sarah Fowler Adams, she was born in Harlow, England. In the winter of 1805, her father was a newspaper editor and a man of great prominence. Sarah herself grew up to be enjoying the spotlight. She showed great interest in the stage and even dreamed of being an actress. In 1834, she married William Bridget Adams, a civil engineer. The couple lived then in London, where Sarah could be near the great theaters. In 1837, she played Lady Macbeth in the Richmond theaters in London to rave reviews. But her frail health hampered her career. However, she found herself focusing more on her literary gifts. It is said that she wrote quickly and as if under compulsion, and seldom did editors, though, find anything to change in her works. Among her compositions were hymns of praise to the Lord. Sarah's sister Eliza, a gifted musician, would often write the music then for her hymns, and the two were very close. One day in 1847, their pastor, the Reverend William Johnson Fox of London's South Place Unitarian Church, paid a visit. He was compiling a church hymn book, and he wanted to include some of their hymns. He further mentioned that he was frustrated at an inability to find a hymn to go along with his upcoming Sunday message, which was from the story of Jacob at Bethel in Genesis 28:20 through 22, which we just read, which was also our Sunday school lesson this morning. So Sarah offered to write a hymn based on those verses. For the rest of the week, she pored over the passage, visualizing Jacob sleeping with a stone for his pillow, dreaming of a ladder reaching unto heaven. The following Sunday, South Place Unitarian Church sang Sarah's "Nearer, My God, to Thee." Eliza, who had suffered from tuberculosis, died in 1846. Sarah had faithfully cared for her sister during the illness, and by the time Eliza died, Sarah too was showing signs of consumption and then passed away herself on August the 14th at age of 43. But we find here that this song written as we were talking about Bethel, for Jacob being the house of God, bringing the thought here that that was a place for Jacob to draw near to God. It was a place, basically, as Brother Larry was bringing out in Sunday school, of his salvation, of coming to God. And truly, we want to be able to draw closer and nearer to God. And just as this one sister was able to write that song, "Nearer, My God, to Thee," and drawing closer unto the Lord was truly her desire. So it should be our desire to stay close and to draw nearer to God and allow God to be our Savior. And then the other hymn that we want to look at this morning is entitled "More Love to Thee, O Christ." And in its thought, want to read over in Isaiah 38. This is speaking of a king, Hezekiah, in a time of great need in his life. And it says, I want to read verses 1 through 6 at first. It says, "In those days was Hezekiah," which was King Hezekiah, "was sick unto death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, came unto him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Set thy house in order, for thou shalt die and not live." Sometimes there comes a point in life where we know time is limited. And so truly here for Hezekiah, he got that message sent to him. Maybe not through a doctor, but it was still through the prophet. And Hezekiah knew God meant business. "Then Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall, and he prayed unto the Lord, and said, Remember now, O Lord, I beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore." That was a great testimony. a great testimony to be able to have, that say that we can say we have walked before God in truth. We have a perfect heart. It said, then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, go and say to Hezekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of David, thy father, I have heard thy prayer. I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years. And I will deliver thee and the city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And then in verses 15, then it says, what shall I say? This is Hezekiah speaking back then to the Lord after this was delivered to him, and he had the goodness of seeing the goodness of God's mercy. What shall I say? He hath both spoken to me, and himself hath done it. I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. O Lord, by these men live, and in all things in the life of my spirit, so wilt thou recover me and make me to live. Behold, for peace I have had great bitterness, but thou hast in love to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption, for thou hast cast all my sins behind my back. For the grave cannot praise thee, death cannot celebrate thee. They that go down into the pit cannot hope for thy truth. The living, he shall praise thee, as I do this day. The father to the children shall make known thy truth. The Lord was ready to save me. Therefore we will sing with my songs to the string instruments all the days of our life in the house of the Lord. For Isaiah has said, let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover. So there was the recovery of King Hezekiah, and he spoke here of having peace in bitterness. He was distraught. He was ill, because we know there that it says that the figs was applied. So we know really that Hezekiah was ill. He didn't just get a message saying you're going to die, but at the time that message was delivered, he had an illness which would have been unto death had not God heard his prayer and intervened. But God did, and he gave him the years, and Hezekiah said, in those years I will continue to serve thee, and I will continue to praise thee and my house with me. So in the second hymn, More Love to Thee, it says, more love to thee, O Christ, more love to thee. Hear thou the prayer I make on bended knee. This is my earnest plea, more love, O Christ, to thee, more love to thee, more love to thee. Once earthly joy I craved, sought peace and rest. Now thee alone I seek, give what is best. This all my prayer shall be, more love, O Christ, to thee. Let sorrow do its work, sin, grief, and pain. Sweet are thy messengers, sweet the refrain, when they can sing with me, more love, O Christ, to thee. Let sorrow, then shall my latest breath whisper thy praise. This be the parting cry my heart shall raise. This still my prayer shall be, more love, O Christ, to thee, more love to thee, more love to me. It says, it is good for me that I had been afflicted, that I may learn your statutes. Psalms 119:71. This is speaking of King David in one of his times of afflictions. And he said, it is good that I would be afflicted, that I might learn of the Lord, learn of the Lord's statutes. And we kind of feel like that is a little bit of what Hezekiah took from the instant that the prophet came to him, and he knew that, and the sickness that was upon him would have been to death. It says, there is a little known verse about sickness in the Bible, found in Isaiah 38:17. King Hezekiah, after the terrible illness that nearly cost his life, said, indeed, it was for my own peace that I had great bitterness or affliction. Otherwise, it says, other translations put it, it was for my own good that I had such a hard time. Surely it was for my benefit that I suffered such anguish. It was for my welfare that I had great bitterness. And we may, sometimes we wonder about hardships, but hopefully we never get our eyes off of God and we allow God to take us through. It says, Elizabeth Payson was born in Portland, Maine on October the 26th. Her father, Edward Payson, was a famous congregational minister, so revealed that 1,000 children were reportedly saved and named for him. His writings and sermons are popular to this day. In 1845, Elizabeth, a schoolteacher at the time, married a Presbyterian minister, George Lewis Prentice. And the couple moved to New York, where George began teaching at a Union Theological Seminary. Elizabeth herself enjoyed writing, and her book, Stepping Heavenward and The Flower of the Family, became bestsellers. Her health, however, was frail, and she suffered chronic insomnia. One day in 1856, following the death of her 2 children, her health faltered and anxiety overwhelmed her. But inspired by a hymn, Nearer, My God, to Thee, Elizabeth worked on a poem, Prayer to the Lord. The words came easily at first, but by the end her creative energy evaporated and she left the poem unfinished. 13 years later, while rummaging through a stack of old papers, Elizabeth found her unfinished poem. As she reread it, it didn't impress her as being very good. But when George, her husband, insisted she finished it, she dutifully scribbled an ending then. He printed a few copies, of which one landed on the desk of a musician, William Howard Doane, in Cincinnati, who then set the verses to music and published it in his Songs of Devotion, which was the song, More Love to Thee, O Christ. And I think when I read them, I see the similarity, Nearer, My God, to Thee. But it says here, to love Christ more, Elizabeth once said, it is the deepest need, the constant cry of my soul. Whether I am out in the woods or on my bed, out driving, whether I am happy or busy, sad or idle, the whisper keeps going up for more love, more love. And I truly think this morning that should be the desires of our hearts. And I found it's so true. No matter what we're doing in a day, the love of Christ can be there with us. And hopefully our cry in our heart is for more, whether it is a good time or a bad time, whether it's a busy time or an idle time, whether anything that is going about in the day, illness or health. She said, whether I'm driving. I remember sometimes one of my greatest joys was when we were in Missouri and we had quite a little bit of property that had to get mowed, and I could get on that riding lawnmower, and sometimes I could just have the greatest devotional time of my life right there on that riding mower. And sometimes I could just sing, and nobody had to know whether it was good singing or bad singing, but you could sing to the praise and the glory of God. And so hopefully that will inspire our hearts this morning, that whatever we are going through, whatever the time of the day or the hour, day or night, God is there and God cares. And we can draw nearer to Him and we can grow in our love for Him. So I'll leave those thoughts with us this morning.